Howdy campers, Jeremy Wright here with another Tank Talk episode for your viewing and listening pleasure. So, this is the tank that I call my son's. It's a 29-gallon Convict Cichlid tank. Currently it's evening, low lighting, so a few things have changed in this tank recently. For one, I pulled out the only fake plant that I had in my 30-something aquatic systems. And that's because, for one, this is the home of the Arkansas Planted Aquarium Club. So having a fake plant's kind of phony, right? And I don't like fake anything. I don't like fake diamonds. I don't like fake sports cars. I don't like fake plants. I don't like fake food. Yeah, I just don't like fake. Fugazi sucks, right? So what happened after the fake plant? Let's see if we can get a look down in here. Excuse me while I fall to the floor and land on my butt. Actually, you know what? I'm going to close the door behind me because that light is just a little bit obnoxious. The glare. Okay, better. More betters. Much more betters. So, 29-gallon Convict Cichlid tank. These are blue convicts, so somewhere in their past, not too many generations back, these were polar blues, which are actually a hybrid between convict cichlids and a parrot cichlid, and we end up with polar blues, which aren't found in nature. But these are like F3 and F4. Is that right? F3 and F4 generations, so they are a number of generations down, but they retain some of that blue, and that's very evident in this lighting. So recent changes, as I said I was going to talk about that. For one, floating plants has been removered. Why? Because this tank, being that it's got a bunch of fish in it, and it's a 29-gallon, it gets fed a lot. And there aren't enough plants growing in here to overcome that, the waste production. So this tank tends to build phosphates, not so much nitrates, builds phosphates. And one of the things that we were experiencing here was cyanobacter, blue-green algae. So when I would lift the lid here, like every day to feed the tank, I got a whiff of that, and I just got sick of it. So what was going on is the pistia, water lettuce, in here was just infected with blue-green algae, and I kept pulling them out. The ones that were visibly infected over and over and over again. Finally, I got to a point where I have pistia established elsewhere in my stuffs, and it's now like grow season outside. I've got pistia growing outside now as well as indoors. I didn't need this like emergency reserve of pistia, especially since it was kind of infected. So I literally removed all of it today. So I say all of it. I removed almost all of it. There are no more floaters in effect. There might be 3 or 4 up there, but and I did make sure they don't have any. The ones that I put back in, not infected, visibly, right? You never know what's on micro level, but at least on a visible evaluation, they passed the visual test. Maybe they passed the scratch and sniff test, and we'll see. Time will tell, right? Going on to the other big change, I had an Aponagidon olivacea, large plant growing in this area, exactly where the fake plant had been. But the convicts liked nipping it. So in just a few days, they just about nipped it to death. So I pulled it out. Now, everyone who has kept convict cichlids in a planted aquarium knows how difficult it is to keep plants alive. So let me talk about what has worked for me. Anubias. So Anubias plants, various Anubias. I would recommend larger Anubias plants. They are just thick-leafed, thick-skinned, tough, leathery plants, and most fish don't enjoy eating at them. They're not pleasant to munch on. So I do have 1, 2, 3 Anubias plants in here that have remained. Now they will pull them up. They will uproot them. They will absolutely destroy whatever you plant. So for the most part, epiphytic plants like Anubias or Java fern back here, see the Java fern on the rocks and the Java fern down in the rocks? Yeah, they're long-term okay. I would actually say the Java fern is what has survived the best. Things that dang, I just noticed they've pulled up my, earlier today, somewhere in this area, I planted an Elodea densa, and it's uprooted. So now in the back, there's an Elodea densa. That's the plant that's way back in the back there. Elodea densa growing up from the back. One has been planted right here, kind of where I pulled that Wolvasia, and another one has been planted over here. And we'll just see how they do. Like, you never know with convicts, you just never know. Now, there are also some other plants. This is a wad of mostly guppy grass that they've been ravaging for months. And here's a fresh wad of guppy grass that they haven't had a chance to ravage yet, but will. And for some reason, they have allowed one sword to grow here in place long term. I'm gonna say like 6 or 8 months it's been hanging out there. It hasn't grown much. Maybe they're just picking it apart as the leaves grow, but I'm thinking that now that there's no cover, the lighting's gonna be stronger, and I might just notice that this sword will grow. Now it gets about once a year, twice a year, maybe. I put some root tabs under that thing, but it just hasn't grown. It just hasn't. I don't know what to say about that. So maybe with some more light, it'll do better. You can see a little bit of the leaf from the Ponogiton that was shredded. That's a piece that I didn't pull out. Whatever, it is what it is. Otherwise, convict cichlids. It is said that they do 2 things. They fight and they breed, and they breed and they fight, and they fight and they breed, and they breed and they fight. And that's what convicts do. They breed like convicts, and they fight like convicts, and they pull up plants like convicts. But they are really enjoyable fish. So let's actually just watch some of their behavior for a bit. Down here, this is one of there are 2 breeding pairs in here that are dominant and parents to the other fish in here. So they dig holes. Convict cichlids dig holes. They like sand. So you can see that they have been clearing this area. There are 2 of them that own, so to speak, this hole that has been dug. And there are 2 others. Let's see if I can find them. That are going to be back in the back. I don't really see them right now. There's another hole. Uh-oh. Move back to improve focus. No, we can't. So there's another hole back there behind that rock. And just can't see it from this angle. However, take it from me, there's a hole back there. That's another breeding spot. And I don't see those other adults right now. So either this pair done had nuffs of the other pair and just berated and assaulted them until they is no more, or they're hiding down in that hole I was talking about. Oh, there's one of them right here. Okay, so notice the red. Yeah, breeding colors. Notice the juveniles, even though these are of, actually that one's kind of got some breeding colors going on. These are of age to breed. There's just so much going on in here that when you get to a stage like this in a convict tank, I'm going to back up and zoom out just a little bit. Oh, wrong way. When you get to this stage in a convict cichlid tank where there's an established population hanging out in a zone, they're going to be roughing each other up pretty frequently. And they're just close enough that, oh, check this out. Got one in the back kind of clearing some stuff. That's a little bit about what I was talking about. So when you get to the stage and they begin spawning, laying eggs, this is like the dominant fish in the tank right now. Definitely bigger than any of the others. We'll get to a stage where they're laying eggs, they're spawning, they're hatching, but the parents down in this hole won't be able to keep all of these juveniles away from their brood, and they'll just get picked off. So even though you'd think, oh, you're just gonna end up with like this like never-ending convict cichlid thing, no, it's very self-regulating, and this is about at capacity right now. There are enough that they basically have this space covered, and little bitty cichlids just aren't going to survive. And that's sad, but it's just facts of life. And if anybody wants some convicts, they can come get some of these. I'll give some juveniles to buddies, but it's just you know, one of those things with convict cichlids. You get to a point where you're at capacity, and then they'll grow up, they'll fight, they'll breed, they'll fight, they'll breed and fight some more, and then they'll keep breeding and fighting and digging holes and pulling plants up, and that's what they do. But they're really charming. They're fun to watch, and they're pretty. Like if you like blue fish, they're pretty. And these are blue convicts. In the wild, they're a lot more white. And I've got some in another tank, 3 small juveniles, like little bitty juveniles that are like, oh, thumbnail size, like a grown man's thumbnail size. And they're solid white, no stripes. They're solid white. I thought they were albinos at first. They're not suffering from or exhibiting albinism. That is to say, they don't have pink red eyes and white skin scales. They just have white skin scales and normal looking eyes. They're strange looking. So I separated them from the rest. I'm actually going to be growing them out, perhaps looking for some other solid white convicts to breed them with, so they're not going to have like a really small gene pool, and we'll just see what happens from there. But yeah, this is tank B, tank Bravo, and it's a 29-gallon planted convict cichlid tank. It's normal for me, sand over soil. It's just that stuff doesn't grow in convict cichlid tanks, so I have to add more plants in from time to time. That's about all there is to say about this tank. Thanks for watching this update on a Tank Talk. I'm Jeremy Wright. Thank you for watching. If you would, give me a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the comments.